In this example, we're looking for the standard deviation for the following data set. So suppose in example 2, we're given a set of population values, okay, and we're really interested in finding its spread. The spread of interest here that we're looking for is called standard deviation. So the first one, calculate the population standard deviation. So assume that this data set is a population. Again, there are formulas and statistics that we can use in order to calculate, for example, mean, median, mode. We can use formulas such as these for standard deviation, but they can be very difficult to use. And in elementary statistics, we're mostly interested in the application of it. So we want to find a quick way to find these values for the spread. So we've got a data set. So just like the previous examples, what we'll do is we'll enter the data set into the calculator. So let's go to stat and let's go to edit. Okay. So we have a data here. I'm going to leave that data just to say, for example, I'm taking an exam or I'm taking a quiz and I want to come back to the data set at a later time. So I'm going to actually keep the data set in L1. Let's go over to L2. So in L2, I'm going to go ahead and enter the data set. Okay. Okay, bear with me. Perhaps these are test scores. The data set can resemble something of that nature. Okay, bear with me. All right, so we got the data set into L2, and again, just like before, we want to make sure we quit to the home screen, so we'll do second mode. Okay. And in the first question here in example 2, it asks calculate the population standard deviation. Okay. So the setup to find standard deviation, bread and butter. Stat calc 1var stats is going to find our standard deviation. Again, it is very, very useful. This function here is very useful. It's able to give us a lot of information about our data set. So remember that we did enter our data into L2. Okay, so we do need to change L1. So let's do second and 2 on the keypad. That's going to bring up L2. Okay. Frequency list leave by default, and then we'll calculate. Now in the handout, okay, we have 2 types of standard deviation. One is the population standard deviation, and the other is the sample standard deviation. So notice their notations, right? The population spread is represented with the lowercase sigma. The standard deviation for the sample is lowercase s. So if in question 1, we're asked to find the population standard deviation, we're looking for sigma. The calculator, unlike the mean, remember that the mean, it only gave us the x bar and we had to interpret, right? Well, the calculator does actually give us both values of the standard deviation. We just need to go back in the problem and see which one it's looking for, sigma or s. Here we have sample, here we have population. So if we're looking for the population spread, the spread is 9.237. Now notice in example 2, question 2, calculate the standard deviation of the first 3 observed values. Now the calculator gives us 2 types of spreads. We need to interpret which one we need. Do we need population or do we need sample? And again, large group, right? Population, but we're taking a subset of it. That means we're taking a sample. So let's go to stat and let's go to edit. And what we want to do is we want to enter the sample into L3. Okay. Say it once again. I want to leave L2 alone just in case I need to check something later on. Let's go over to L3. And I want to enter the values, the first 3 observed values. Okay, so 82, okay, 77, and 90. Okay, and we wish to look for the populations, or excuse me, the sample spread this time. for L3. Just like before, you want to make sure you quit to the home screen. We don't want the calculator to get confused, okay? And now we're ready to find the standard deviation. So setup is stat calc, the 1var stat. If you have the TI-83, remember you want to go ahead and hit 2nd and 3 on the keypad, okay? Here we'll do the same. Frequency less leave blank, and then we'll calculate. Now remember, there are 2 standard deviations that the calculator does produce. We want to make sure we pick the correct one. So here we're asked to calculate the sample standard deviation. So we're looking for S. We're looking for S. Okay, not sigma this time, but we're looking for S. So 6.557. In your homework assignment, you'll round to the number of decimal places that they ask. But formulas we try not to use in this class when it comes to elementary statistics. Let's let the calculator find the standard deviation.